Vindaloo, 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 na na. The word is Vindaloo, and it's spelt Vindaloo. Well, it's a word that British people associate with a very, very hot curry, a mainstay of British Indian restaurant menus. As I said, extremely hot, extremely popular with lads wishing to prove their masculinity, for example, on a stag night, and also the butt of a number of jokes about digestive malfunctions and complaints. Well, everyone in this country, I would imagine, assumes that it's an Indian word, and indeed it did enter English from Indian languages, but the origins of the word are Portuguese. It comes from the name of a Portuguese dish, carne de Vindaloo, which means basically meat prepared in a marinade of wine and garlic. So it reached India at some point during the 450-year history of Portuguese colonial rule in India, which began less than a decade after the great event at the beginnings of the colonial expansion of Western European powers, when the Portuguese mariner Vasco da Gama reached Calicut on the southwest coast of India in 1498. By 1510, the Portuguese had established a vice-regency in India with their capital in the city of Goa, and Vindaloo has become a key example of Goan cuisine. So there are at least 3 dishes that have the name Vindaloo. There's the original Portuguese dish, carne de Vindaloo, which is basically a dish made with usually pork meat, marinated in wine and garlic with maybe some herbs and spices for flavour. There's the Goan Vindaloo or Vindaloo, which is a kind of fusion of that Portuguese dish with local cooking traditions of the areas of the coast of West India. The third is the Vindaloo that we know in Indian restaurants in the UK today, usually cooked by Bengali chefs and to a very different recipe to the Goan Vindaloo, and also not containing pork, usually made with chicken or lamb, and containing a great deal more chilli in the mixture of spices. Vindaloo is also well known in the UK as the title of a very popular football song, which was written for the FIFA World Cup of 1998. Vindaloo, 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 na na. It's interesting if you compare the song Vindaloo with the football song that was written just a couple of years earlier, called Three Lions. Three Lions is arguably a more sentimental song that talks about the sadness of English football fans at not having won the World Cup for 30 years. And I think these 2 songs kind of give you an indication of 2 very different ideas of what it means to be English in the mid to late 1990s, which was a period when there was a change of government, and a lot of questions were being asked about who are the British, who are the English, and particularly about the place of the descendants of recent migrants to the country. And if you look at the video for Three Lions, what you see there are white men wearing England football shirts. When you look at the video for Vindaloo, there's a very different feel to it. It's a comedy song, but there are all sorts of different characters. There are sumo wrestlers, there are French maids, and more importantly, there are a lot of black and Asian faces amongst the crowd. It's a word that tells us a lot about how complex our history is, and how we share so much of our history with people thousands of miles away who we tend to think of ourselves as having very little in common with. people who have in fact contributed in large part to our culture and to a changing sense of identity and changing day-to-day habits and practices.